Welcome to the Evolution Magazine Live series. It is May 13th, year 2021, and we are broadcasting live from Happy Rock Farms in Kansas City, Missouri. Tonight we are joined by Eric McSwain of the Missouri Cannabis Industry Association, discussing cannabis education with Max Montrose of the Trichome Institute. Also joined tonight by April Hatch of the Cannabis Care Team and Skyler Thomas from COCO Dispensaries. Our show will get underway in just a few moments, but first, a word from our sponsors.
Headquartered in Kansas City, Clover is a cannabis-infused product manufacturer that believes in safe, consistent, and quality cannabis products for Missouri's medical marijuana patients. As the extractor, infuser, and wholesaler of their own products, they ensure patients are getting exactly what they are reading on the label. No chemicals, no funny business. Clover offers a variety of cannabis-infused products ranging from gummies and beverages to vape pens and concentrates, and offered from a variety of companies including Keef, Funny Bone, Wunna, and Robots. Whatever consumption method you prefer, they've got it. At Clover's facility in Kansas City, they're excited to announce their new, high-quality, cannabis-infused Clover chocolate bars and bonbons with the help of chocolatier Christopher Elbow. Clover is excited to continue to launch brand new products in the Missouri medical marijuana market.
Getting a medical marijuana patient recommendation just got easier with Elevate Holistics. Using HIPAA-compliant telemedicine software, Elevate Holistics enables patients like you to receive medical marijuana recommendations from the comfort of their own homes. Here's how it works. First, visit elevate-holistics.com to book your appointment using our online schedule. Then complete the intake forms in our confirmation email. Finally, visit with the doctor using the link in your confirmation email. It's that simple. Book an appointment today.
The Missouri Cannabis Industry Association has been our longest-running show sponsor, while providing quality education over many topics in partnership with area cannabis professionals. MCIA is dedicated to a free cannabis market to create supplies and prices that are patient-friendly, with initiatives to support adult-use cannabis, to protect home growers' rights, and expand the caregiving program. Go to mocia.org to learn about memberships, to learn about their certified caregiving program, and learn how to get involved. Thank you, MCIA, for being a show sponsor.
COCO Dispensaries and the Cannabis Care Team presents CANNBIS BOOTCAMP. Do you want to know more about endocannabinoid system, methods of medicating, cannabinoids and terpenes, and Missouri cannabis industry? Do you want to become a bud tender and to help patients to find the best medicine for their needs? Or maybe, do you want to know how to manage your patient privacy and comfortability, the benefits of offering patient consultation, and the importance of consuming low and slow? April Hatch, Matt Cascio, Heidi Trout, Skyler Thomas, and Jamie Dennis will be there to teach you all you need to know to become a respected bud tender. Text Bud Tender to 660-202-6234 or scan this QR code to register and learn more. And join us on June 12, 2021 at 1225 Fellows Place, Columbia, Missouri 65201.
Tonight's video is provided by Cat King Films. Check this out. Cat King Films is offering promotional content, commercials, training videos, wedding videos, and documentary-style video production at an affordable price. A free consultation comes with every project to ensure that it is personalized to your brand. Check out previous projects by exploring the different sections on the newly launched website at catkingfilms.com.
What's up, Missouri patients, Evolution friends, family? Welcome to the Evolution Live series here live from Happy Rock Farms in Kansas City. Tonight's show is our sponsor MCIA that's putting on their continuing show about education in the cannabis space. And we have some amazing guests on the show tonight. Via Zoom, coming in from the Trichome Institute, Max Montrose. A lot of you guys have seen him speak at a lot of local and even national events. He's a whiz when it comes to all things growing medicinal. But tonight we're going to be talking specifically about the courses that he has to offer at the Trichome Institute. Thank you, Max, for coming on. Also, CannaCare team, April Hatch is here with us. On the second half of the show, we'll be talking about the cannabis bud tender, cannabis bootcamp bud tender training course. That's a mouthful. Coming up in June with Skyler Thomas coming in via Zoom on the second half of the show. And on the commercial break, we are going to check in with the CANNBIS project with Robert Franklin live from prison again. This is post him finding out that he had got granted clemency from Governor Parsons. It's a very great conversation to check out. It's a very joyous moment talking with somebody from prison who just found out they're going to be let out after serving 12 years in prison. So that would be on the commercial break, as well as an update from George Hanna from Kansas NORML, talking about what's happening with the bill for Kansas legalization. That's going to be on the commercial break tonight. Before I pitch it over to them, I want to say thanks to our other sponsors, Clover. We're going to be doing a live show from their facility with local chocolatier Christopher Elbow. A lot of you know him. He's very well known in the area. He's very well known nationally for his gourmet chocolates, and he's teamed up with Clover to do their infused chocolates. We're going to do a live show from their facility with him. They learn more about what's the process behind making those chocolates. That'll be the last Thursday of this month. And also Elevate Holistics. Thank you for sponsoring this show, the whole series this month. We're going to be giving away lots of free cool gifts tonight. One of those is a free certification from Elevate Holistics. Tag a friend in the comments with the certification. Tag a friend with the word CERT. If you know anybody out there who does not have their certification or know anybody who's looking to get their recertification, tag their name in the comments. You can even tag yourself and just put the word CERT, and you can enter into that competition. Also, 2 free gift cards to COCO Dispensaries. Tag a friend. You both get entered to win. Tag as many friends as you would like. And then also some really cool gifts from Trichome Institute, giving away a free course. So tag a friend for that. You can choose which course you would like to take. It's pretty cool. Check out their website after the show. Wait till after the show. But check out the courses they have. They have some really, really cool stuff. And listen to Max, and he'll talk more about the way they go about their educational courses here shortly. So tag a friend for that competition. And if that wasn't enough, we also are giving away a free course training for the cannabis. Oh my gosh, I'm going to say it wrong. You know, April will talk about it here shortly. It's the cannabis. Show me bud tender boot camp. Cannabis boot camp training. Okay, a lot of words there. So we're giving away that as well. So tag as many friends. You get entered into all those competitions. Thanks to our sponsors. And without further ado, take it away, guys.
Hey, appreciate it. That's a lot.
Hey, everybody, yeah.
And don't forget to tag and get in on that. There's
I got to tag myself right now. Actually.
I know. Tag me. I win. So I'm Eric McSwain. I'm your host. Missouri Cannabis Industry Association. I'm the chairman here. Got with us April Hatch, Cannabis Care Team, movie star over here. On Zoom, we've got Max Montrose. I was going to call you the wrong name the whole show just to give you some trouble, but I won't do that. Max, how you doing out there tonight? Yep, it's awesome. We've got a lot to talk about, and I know we could probably fill like 10 hours with everything we've got in our heads, and well, just for your head, for that matter. Stick around, everybody. Get your friends in here. Max, we're going to ask him anything tonight.
Anything.
I will stop the show to ask Max a question, okay? So throw them out there. Be ready. Last week we had Tyler Morgan.
I watched that show.
Skytrace.
Yeah.
He is the professor of cannabis. Max is the guru of Trichome. He knows it all. And I've got a little man crush, but that's fine. Now, I do want to say, don't forget MCIA. We've got a caregiver certification program, okay? This is near and dear to my heart. I'm a certified caregiver through the program. I eat my own dog food. But it can be a rewarding sort of experience, right? Being a caregiver for somebody, but it's for real. You're going to have patients who are sick, and sometimes you lose those patients. And I know, April, you know what that's like.
I've actually spoken to a couple of people this week who had some recent diagnoses that were not good. So it's hard. It's absolutely hard, and I love being able to connect them to people who really know how to grow good meds. So,
Yep.
And I'm so excited that Max is
That's right.
going to talk about some of those meds he's got behind him. And I have always enjoyed speaking with you and learning from you, Max.
That's right. Ask him anything.
Yeah.
Get your questions
Anything.
ready. Now, in the meantime, shout out to my former patient MJ. We lost her a couple of weeks ago. I just want to give you much love right here on the show. Her husband, much love to you as well. Let's roll with it, Max. Now, you're coming to us from. Are you in Denver, actually?
Close. I'm currently in Erie, Colorado, which
Okay.
is just about 30 minutes outside of Denver. But yes, I'm broadcasting to you right now from Colorado.
Very nice.
Nice.
Very nice. I noticed you've got some nice greenery behind you. I like that. Reminds me of home as well. We're going to talk about those for sure. Now, we could go way back in your history, and you've been doing it for a while. I've been following your work for a while. But I think maybe let's fast forward and let's first talk about the Trichome Institute, right? How, Trichome Institute, I understand, is it true that one of their courses is actually something the state requires for employees in Colorado, or am I wrong?
That was actually one thing that we started working on very early in our institution days, was the idea that people who do take the bud tender job should be trained and certified. Obviously the lesser regulations we have to deal with, the better. But to us, it's crazy that in the state of Colorado, California, basically everywhere else in the U.S., that you have to be trained, licensed, and certified to paint fingernails or to cut hair. But when you're a bud tender and you're working with medical patients specifically, there's really not a whole big difference between that job and being a pharmacist. And it's because you're working with patients and their medicine. And these patients have dynamic ailments that are all different from each other. And cannabis is such a dynamic drug from a medical perspective. Just flower alone is really dynamic. And as you know, in the dispensary, there's just a barrage of medicines that can be really beneficial to so many people. And so we've always felt that if you're gonna, be a pharmacist in some way, you really should know what you're doing. You should really understand the differences between these medicines and how they affect people in different ways. And we're not suggesting that bud tenders should be at the same level as pharmacists. We're not saying that bud tenders, like pharmacists, should have 4 years of technical education, but to have at least some level of certification is something that we do feel is important.
I got goosebumps. That's awesome. I mean, seriously, I hear that every day. Patients who go into, I mean, unfortunately, dispensaries all over the country still, and they just have so much more success when they speak to someone who's been educated. And, you know, unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are having a bad experience. So I love what you're saying, Max. They absolutely need some education.
Not only does the patient have more success, the dispensary in and of itself does. The difference between interacting with a team of people who are really well educated and knowledgeable versus people who aren't it's a huge difference. Because when you walk into a dispensary and you learn something new, you better understand what terpenes are and how they work and how they can benefit you. You understand how and why you need to take edibles a little bit more seriously than maybe something like flower. You're going to create repeat customers because these people trust you because it's apparent that you know what you're talking about. That's a big deal in this industry right now. And not only do these repeat customers in this trust, not only does that increase revenue, but it also really decreases risk. If you have bud tenders that are educated well enough to guide patients into how to utilize these medicines or these adult use consumables in really the best way that they can and that they should, you're going to encourage them to have a good experience versus a bad one. And so it decreases risk, it increases revenue. To us, it's just not this crazy idea that people in the cannabis industry who make this their career, they should be educated, they should be certified, they should know a bunch of this stuff. That's how the real world works. And so we really love providing that opportunity to people in this industry.
I love it. I love it. And that was always near and dear to my heart as well. Mm-hmm. And obviously to yours, you're an educator of the same ilk, and you want to make...
Yeah. That's the message I'm always giving to dispensaries, is that education actually is the best tool for marketing that they can have, to increase that revenue. I know that when they have patients who are able to come into a dispensary who've worked with someone who's, taken your courses, and that person can really help them find an effective treatment plan, that person's going to feel better. They're going to come back. They're going to bring all their friends. And it's so important. And I don't know that everyone gets that message, but
it's true. It's true. And that, that's a part of it. But in a regular market, that sorts itself out, because there's going to be winners and losers. There's going to be people who are doing it and doing it right. Then there's going to be everybody else, So I love that. Max, tell me, let's talk more about the Trichome Institute. And everybody out there, hey, tag some folks, because we're giving away one of these courses, right? And Max, is it like a course of their choice, or what do folks get tonight?
Yeah, so we, as cannabis educators, our goal is to educate people with what we believe they need to know. And there's a difference between people who are in the industry or aren't. There's a difference between people who have a ton of cannabis knowledge versus people who are just getting started. So we have a course called CANNBIS for All, which is a course on what is cannabis for anyone and everyone who's getting started. So parents that just learned that their kid might benefit from medicinal marijuana, before walking into a dispensary and asking for X, Y, and Z, let's just teach these people, what is a trichome? What is a cannabinoid? What's the difference between CBD, CBN, CBG, THC, THCV? What are terpenes? How do they work? All of these different things, right? So we've got this really awesome course called CANNBIS for All. And all of these courses, you can view them on our website. You can preview each and every one. Stepping up from there, people who are in the bud tender position, we have a course called Cannabis Consultant Training, and it's around 4 hours of really technical information. Wow. What is the difference between a transdermal and a sublingual? How does a suppository work? And how do you work with one? Why is cannabis flower dynamic? Why might the strain name not actually associate to what you think the effect could be? And how do you mitigate that? Hashes, concentrates, how to sell in a cannabis dispensary, how you upsell with cannabis products in the best of ways, and how you create repeat customers. So we've got a really just kick-ass awesome course for industry staff, right? And even if you're not a bud tender, I'm sure you could learn a ton from that course. Stepping up from there, we do have a course that's specific to hash and concentrates. That's taught by Murphy Murray, and she is the wizard of cannabis extracts. Each and every type of extraction, how things are extracted differently from each other, what your biomass needs to be and look like prior to its extraction based off the type of extraction that you're going for. Extraction is just so complex, but that's a 3 to 4 hour course on just hash concentrates and extraction that we have. And then, of course, my favorite course is interpening. That's my baby. And interpening, comes with a textbook, comes with tools. It's a multi-leveled course, and that's our version of the cannabis sommelier. And so this is the course where, at a very high level, you get to learn how and why these plant types are not indica or sativa.
Oh.
What are they?
Oh, I want to talk more about that.
What is the spectrum of the broad to narrow leaf types? And differentiating your hemp types from your marijuana types. And a lot of people don't know that the hemp varietals also have broadleaf and narrow leaf types. And so this is getting into the question as to what is cannabis? And then what is it really? Like, really, what is this? What are we talking about? What are we dealing with here? We're talking about one of the most dynamic plants on the planet. And it is just so interesting, right? And so the interpreting program teaches you things that you do not learn anywhere else, such as cannabis appellation. How and why is cannabis grown in certain regions and areas special or important and protected by law as an appellation? This is where cannabis is actually now going into the world of wine, as it should have always been. Right? You never walk into an alcohol store and ask the guy for a particular species of grape at a percentage of alcohol. That's just crazy. What you do is you say red or white. Red. What region of the world? California, Northern California. Awesome. What type of red wine from Northern California? Cabernet. Fantastic. And from there, you can actually go even further into just that varietal, that vintage. And cannabis is similar, right? So what are we talking about? Broadleaf types or narrowleaf types? Broadleaf types. Great. What region? Emerald Triangle, Northern California. Awesome. What type of broadleaf type? Kush. OG Kush. Awesome. Let's talk about OG Kush from Northern California within this appellation, grown in this terroir, in this particular way that causes this plant type to be the way it is, making it special. And then what about that plant type has that uniqueness that you know to be true, that you can share its commonality with other people? It's as of what is typical, which is its typicity, right? And so being able to certify the flavor and taste components of OG varietals that we know to be real and true is moving into typicity. And then outside of all that wine stuff that cannabis and interpening involves, really, what interpening is it is the solution to the largest problems in the cannabis industry, bar none. So how do you overcome the strain name dilemma? Interpening. How do you overcome the fact that lab testing is extremely lacking? Your lab testing won't tell you what the potency of your cannabis is, because THC is not an equation of potency. Your lab test won't tell you if your drug is a stimulant or a sedative. Interpening will. And so how you engage...
Sorry, Max, I have a question. Are you giving away that course tonight? Is that an option if people tag a friend?
Why? Because you want it?
Yeah. I've seen the materials, and there's some really great handouts that come along with that course.
I actually have the tools. I bought the tools, and I've seen you talk enough about it that I don't know all the details for sure, but in terms, I'm a super smeller. So I'm good. I'm like you in that regard. Of course, 20 minutes in a room full of bud, and my nose is kind of nuked. I got to clear it out. But anyway, and so, but you can tell. I mean, there are definitely techniques, and you can tell generally what the effects, the medical effects, might be for folks, and you can teach people how to do that for themselves. There it is.
There it is.
The weed
wheel.
wheel. Tell me about it.
So we don't call it a sativa because it's not. What it is a narrow leaf marijuana type. That's what it is. Okay, and so narrow leaf marijuana types have a particular type of inflorescence. How the flower structure is composed is organized, and you can learn that organization. What smells are typical and common for that plant type to smell like is also organized. More interestingly, though, is where you feel and perceive the aroma in different parts of the trigeminal nerve is actually gauging where on the spectrum of psychopharmacy those terpenes should end up, right? And so terpenes, they're vibrating. They're in a constant state of evaporation. They're living hydrocarbon chains, and they're buzzing. And what we can do is we can detect the quantum mechanics of them and how terpenes organize themselves to buzz mainly in a stimulating or sedative way, which is detectable with the face and within the inflorescence. And so these plant type characteristics should affect your body this way. So narrow leaf marijuana is physically energetic, mentally stimulated, the focus is productive, the mood is adventurous, the risk is paranoia, and the activity is concerts or arts. Great. And then how intoxicated will you be from this type in that way? Well, that's particular to your tolerant level. And so here's our graph for tolerance. And then these plants are not one or the other. They're on a spectrum of psychopharmacy that we describe as the broad to narrow leaf spectrum. And of course, we're talking about marijuana types specifically here. But so that's just one little tool of our process.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing that.
No doubt. I think I was most blown away when we first started talking about the different trichome types and what they do. I mean, how they roll basically, and what that means to me, and then how to identify those. Because as a home cultivator and someone who takes care of patients, I've got to understand. There's an anecdote I like to talk about. You talked about the appellation, right? Different conditions will change the way this plant grows and finishes and everything in between. I had an exact same cut of orange kush, grew one indoors at the same time I grew one outdoors here in Missouri, and the one outdoor, you wouldn't know it was the same plant, except for the orange-ish smell, right? The one outdoor was more like orange furniture cleaner. The one indoor was more like rotten orange fruit. The plant structures were different. They were both, more of the indica type, right? They had that bud pattern, but the amount of leaf to calyx ratio and just, it was wild how different. And it was a living example of exactly what you're talking about. So if anybody out there is doubting it, and Max said quantum mechanics, well, he meant that. You're not full of it on that one, right?
No, and we've recently partnered with a new laboratory that their entire lab is dedicated to breaking down and understanding the aroma of cannabis, which is the key to how cannabis is going to affect you, way more than the cannabinoids. And what we're learning is terpenes are a really big deal, as we all know. But what are the other aromatic components outside of terpenes that are causing aroma type and also potentially effect? And so we're talking about thiols, we're talking about alcohols, we're talking about polyphenols. These are in a category called flavorants. Okay, and so flavorants are actually aiding in the complexity of the aroma that we're getting from cannabis. And a lot of people think that the gas note and tone that you get from gassy cannabis types is a terpene, and a lot of people believe it's terpenoline. And what we're really starting to discover is that gas note and sensation actually isn't terpene dependent. It's a thiol, and so
it's literally gas. I mean, it's a compound very similar to gas, right? Ethanol, right?
It smells like a gas.
Some people really like that smell, and some people don't. And I think there's a reason why, right?
Yeah, and like we in the interpreting book, we have a section in the back that talks about paradoxical scents, and so what a paradox it is that cannabis produces the smell of cat piss, dog shit, skunk, a moldy wet towel in the corner of your basement, which is called dank. And
I like the dirty sock myself.
Right, and so what's so fun with this, right, is, oh man, like what a brain exercise for your just intuitive self, right? So your brain knows to protect you from these smells because these smells equate to dangerous things. If you are blindfolded and someone has a silver platter and presents to you dog shit, before you even recognize what it is, physically your body will move away from it because your physiology knows that smell is an inclination to something that could be toxic or dangerous for you to, mess around with. So stay away from piss, stay away from vomit, stay away from old feet, stay away from dank towels, stay away from skunks. And then there's weed. And then your pot smells like a skunk. And then when you know that this is cannabis that I am smelling, your physiology also knows that. And so there's a change where all of a sudden this smell, which was dangerous, that you should stay away from, is now something you're intrigued by. And so when we're all younger, right, and you smell the roadkill skunk driving down the road, everyone says PU and rolls up their windows like, oh no, the skunk, right? But now when you're an adult and you get into the ganja and you smell skunk, even though you know that's not weed, that's a skunk, you like it now because it's that skunky, funky weed.
We know you. We see you out there. Yeah. Yep. No, that's amazing too. So I'm guessing that for you, there's an adage that I learned quite some time ago that the nose knows. Mm-hmm. Yep. And I'm betting that you're going to be a huge fan of that because as you investigate the options of medical cannabis in front of you, if you smell something and just immediately you're like, oh yeah, go ahead and don't hesitate. That's the one today. Yep. Go ahead and grab that. So.
And so what you're talking about is, I mean, from a very esoteric perspective, your physiology knows what it needs more than maybe your conscious brain does. And so when you smell certain herbs and you are emotionally attracted to it, it's because your physiology is actually pushing you towards that thing it knows it needs. And so this is why the nose knows that when you smell a bowl of fruit, it's attracted. You want it, and it's because your body needs it. You need those nutrients. You need those sugars. You need that fiber. You need all of those things that plant has to offer you. So you're attracted to it, and that attraction is your body knowing what it needs. And so this is why when you're in a state that has an opportunity to serve cannabis deli style, which is not pre-packaged cannabis.
Not Missouri yet, guys.
You can walk into a dispensary and there's a wall of QPs, right? So there's just quarter pounds in glass jars, and there's a wall full of them. And when you have the opportunity to go through and smell each one in that way, you really get a good sense of how much your nose knows what it wants. And sometimes it's that gnarly, garlicky, fucking funk. It's like, and
why did I buy this? That's why.
If you're licking your lips on that funk, then go ahead and buy a sack of that, because you probably need it.
That's what you need today. That's what you need. And is that part of your course as well?
Absolutely. We talk a lot about, of course, the medical benefits of cannabis and all the medical the compounds in that wonderful plant, and identifying what your body needs. Everyone is a little bit different, but absolutely listening to what your body is telling you. And I think that I have seen some maybe dispensaries do some creative things when it comes to helping patients identify, what smells they're attracted to. But again, I think that, we're lucky in Missouri, honestly, to have a caregiver program where patients can work with a caregiver to grow the plants that are going to work best for them, based on many important factors, including that smell.
Yep, I love it. And so your journey doesn't stop there, though. I mean, I had Max Montrose on the show tonight. I didn't necessarily have the Trichome Institute. You guys run out and check out those courses, though. Seriously, I've got a couple under my belt. Can't wait. Max, you guys going to come to town to do some interpening? Because that's best in person.
Yeah, well, so the interpreting course that's going to be in person has to be in Northern California. And now that COVID is slowly ending, we're definitely ramping up our ability to offer the next level course. And so, it's actually not uncommon that a lot of wine sommelier courses, the level 1 doesn't necessarily need to start with you knowing wine. You need to learn the whole world of viniculture just to get your knowledge base up to the point where you can start working with wine in a more intelligent way. And that's really what the online interpreting course is. It's a 4-hour course on really what is cannabis, how do we go about it from a sommelier process. And so anybody can take the interpreting course online at home in your pajamas, smoke a bowl while you're doing it. You can pause it in the middle of the course and take it the next day if you need a break. So that, everyone has access to the online interpreting course. And if whoever you guys choose gets a free course from Trichome Institute tonight, if they want the interpreting course, they can have it. If they think that they get more value out of the hash and concentrate course, we'll give them that one. So they get to pick. But when it comes to us teaching it in person, we're going to be teaching about these nuances and these cannabis complexities in the location where they're happening. And the only place on the planet that has a lawful and actual cannabis appellation is Northern California. And the people who have terroir and express it are really these OG Emerald Triangle farmers who really know their stuff. And then from there, we have an opportunity to have the spectrum of cannabis types in all of their different aroma characteristics and effect types that we can very well organize. And that's what we're going to be testing you on in person. We have to we have to watch you go about 10 jars of cannabis that are entirely unlabeled. You have no idea what this weed is. But as an interpreter and with your skill, you have to not only grade the cannabis within 3 points out of 100, the way that the level 3 certified interpreters would. You have to grade each biotype of flower accurately, and then also accurately pinpoint where on the spectrum of the 5 effect types that cannabis has, each one falls within. And so that's basically the crux of the course, but it's also most likely going to be a 2-day long course in California. So you might have some wine tasting, you might have some pairing with Appalachian wine and Appalachian cannabis, you might have a bonfire with all these people that literally are flying in from around the world to take this course, hang out literally for 2 days and visit the cannabis farms in the Emerald Triangle that are doing these things as a part of the education. And so that's what we're working towards.
I think you're going to need a nurse to staff a first aid tent. If you need volunteer.
Offer stands.
It's going to be really cool, man. We're so excited. It's fun. We're actually planning an Emerald Triangle flower and wine tasting and pairing for either the end of the summer or the beginning of this fall. And so it's not going to be an interpreting course. So you don't have to have the interpreting prerequisite or certification to go to that. But if you're in the area, if you're in the Bay Area, or if you're in the Emerald Triangle, you may be able to come out and hang out with me and my cousin, who's a certified level 2 sommelier. So Matt and Max Montrose, wine somm and weed somm, doing some education, answering a bunch of questions, and then also offering these really fantastic things to just enjoy. I mean, that's why we're here on the planet. Like, let's learn all this cool stuff, and then let's just enjoy it with each other. So, so that's what we're gonna do.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk to you too about cacti, but I don't think we're gonna have time for that. Max can actually legally import and administer very interesting cacti to folks. But what I do want to know about, you've got other projects going. Tell me about Spliff Busters, because I'm kind of a fan. What's that about?
Spliff Busters is, oh man. Now that you bring it up, and I have to think about what we're gonna do with Spliff Busters. It was such a random thing, man. You want to talk about random? Spliff Busters isn't really even ours. So if you go on YouTube and you search Spliff Busters, which is an entire show that I do, that I kind of pulled out of nowhere. It's published by a company here in Colorado called Leaf Buyer. And so one day, Leaf Buyer, and they've been friends with us for many years. We've made a lot of really awesome videos together. So one day, they just wanted to increase their YouTube following. And they just said, why don't we just send a camera guy to Max's house, see what happens, and somehow we'll increase our YouTube following. And so we had no plan, we had no script, just had a guy show up at my house. And at the end of the day, we produced 4 kick-ass episodes crushing cannabis myths left and right. Where does OG Kush come from? Is there such a thing as a pure sativa? Does Durban poison actually come from South Africa? If THC isn't the equation of potency, what is? Or how and why would cannabis that has half as much THC in it get you twice as high as another type? What about hashes and concentrates? Why aren't we seeing bubble hash in dispensaries anymore? All of this just stuff that you never see in cannabis magazines, you never get from a cannabis education company. It's just off the cuff, real, raw myth busting on cannabis. And so that's what Spliff Busters is. It's on YouTube, it's free. And what a lot of people have told me about it is it's the best tool for them to explain a lot of these complex things to other people when they either don't have the time to do it or the skill to do it. So they know THC is not an equation of potency, and herbs that have half as much THC in it get you high. But they can't explain it to their buddy. They can at least look it up on YouTube and send it to them in a text message, and it's over. It's like, we're done here. So it's a really just great educational tool to just share with other people. But man, Spliff Busters random AF. So random. We haven't even talked about shooting more Spliff Buster episodes, but who knows? Maybe we will.
Everybody out there, all the listeners need to watch it, subscribe, give them a holler, say we need more, because I think it's fantastic. And if it sounds like you had a gas doing it. So this is all the better, right? Quality of life. And so keep on doing that thing, man. I love it.
Right on. Yeah.
What's the plans? What's next? I mean, what's the big project that you're working on? We've talked about interpening, right?
Yeah, we've got a couple. So I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm just going to go for it.
Nobody say anything.
The interpening tools that we've produced are getting an upgrade. And so not only are the tools getting an upgrade, both the weed wheel, the interpening loop, but we're currently in our design phase of the new interpening book, which is going to have an additional 30 to 40 full pages of brand new text and information included with it. And then we're also working on the in-person level 2 course, which we hope to offer this year in Northern California. This stuff is not easy to do. The amount of research, the amount of time, the amount of editing, the amount of design, printing, it is a lot to produce this type of education for people. And we're happy and proud to do it. And then simultaneously, what's also coming out is moving into a really high level education of cannabis, food, and beverages. And so on our team is Chef Brandon Allen, who is I think he's the first ever High Times awarded cannabis chef. And we have partnered with the American Culinary Federation, who is essentially the Harvard of chef school in the United States. And so currently the ACF has an edible course, which we help them with and requires the interpreting book to take it. But now we're going to do a full-blown cooking with cannabis course that's going to be extra scientific. And that's the gap that's missing. There's a million, infused dinner parties, or put some terpenes in a little cocktail and here you go. No. No. We're getting down into how do you cook efficiently with extracted cannabinoids that are cannabinoid specific for which reason, how, or versus cooking with marijuana versus cooking with hemp. And are you using it from the raw plant material, or are you doing an oil extraction first and then cooking into that? And then what's the chemistry like within that? How do you properly flavor certain dishes with cannabis-based terpenes without overpowering them? And how is it balanced from a chemical perspective? We're going to be producing a multi-hour course that's also going to come out with a book by Chef Brandon Allen on all cooking with cannabis. And that's all in conjunction with us just developing and interpreting more and further, which is a never-ending, science. We have tons of little side projects, one of which, this is not a side project, but a new product that we're coming out with is a terpene training kit. And there's 12 terpenes in the kit, 3 of which are not even liquid. They are solid crystals that are crystalline terpenes. And oh my God, are they sharp. I mean, these terpenes, these crystal-based terpenes are razor sharp. And so for your ability to train your trigeminal nerve and feel the sensation of different terpenes in different parts of your face, as well as being able to identify different terpene types and really understand interpreting from that perspective, is a tool that we're coming out with. So, the terpenes are selected, the packaging is done. It's just all of the 10,000 pieces of nitty gritty to bring a product to market that we're currently working on. Simultaneously, we are working on an application, an app that is everything Leafly wishes it ever was. So
is that the official name, or is that the pre-release name?
Yeah.
Code name?
Leafly wishes it was.
Okay.
So you know that because of the strain name dilemma, Leafly's app doesn't work, right? So you can't go say, hey, I have this condition, what should I take for it? And say, oh, you should just take Blue Dream. You should, and if you haven't seen our YouTube video on when I go secret shopping for Blue Dream in Denver, and I buy 6 different types of flower, all called Blue Dream, bring them back to the office and demonstrate this to you, you'll understand this is a big problem. You can't have PTSD and learn that this flower is going to help you, go to the dispensary, buy something entirely different that is going to cause extreme paranoia and make you want to jump off a bridge. That's not medicine. And if you just shop for weed in the old school way, based on strain names or THC percentages or lab testing, that's what you get. That's basically what you get. And so because of interpening and our super scientists with these labs that can actually detect over 400 different aroma profiles with 3-dimensional gas chromatography, we don't care what you call it. Call it whatever you want. But we will tell you how this herb will make 9 out of 10 people feel. And we're going to grade that cannabis so that you'll know, is this good quality or bad quality, and at what level? There currently isn't a standard in the cannabis industry today as to what is good weed. Says who? How do you know? Like what is the ruler for that? What's the standard operating procedure for what good cannabis is? So we're developing an application where you'll be able to literally shop for a very specific effect, right? So if you're having writer's block and you just need to break that down and bust your creativity open, you can search for that. And you can search for it based on its quality as well. And so that's another thing that we're working on. As well as, and this is my biggest headache is behind me, these bad boys. Oh my God, this is my biggest headache ever. This is years and years and years and years of.
Show us. Which one's your favorite?
So these are all the same plant. These are all clones that I'm getting ready to flower in its clone state. I can't tell you what type of cannabis this is, unfortunately, but what I can tell you is I am confident, I know for a fact, that this plant produces a type of trichome that has not been scientifically established yet. And so if you go to the American Pharmacopoeia of marijuana, of cannabis inflorescence, they will tell you about capitate stalked trichomes, cystolithic trichomes, unicellular trichomes, bulbous trichomes, sessile trichomes. But what nobody's seen before is an extremely rare type of trichome that only pops up every once in a while. And you would never find it unless you were literally combing through thousands of types of cannabis microscopically, as we do, especially when we judge cannabis cups. And we're just weed nerds. And we have the Interpening Club. So when you get your interpening certification, you are admitted into a very exclusive club of other weed nerds from around the world that look for this kind of stuff.
This is like amateur astronomy. Like, I just found a new star, dude.
I know. I'm wondering, do you have a name for it? You're just not telling us.
Yeah, I have named this trichome, and
well, I can't wait to see the I can't wait to see the trichome.
So you know what? That's a problem in my life, is my amount of God, what do you call that? When you're just full of yourself. And so I don't need more of that. So I'm not naming it after myself. I'm not naming it after a family name. I'm not naming it after Interpening or the Trichome Institute. I'm naming it for what it actually is. And what it is it's the 7th type of trichome ever discovered in cannabis. That's what it is. And 7 is esoterically relevant. So in a biblical way. And so a lot of people might know that anandamide is an endogenous cannabinoid named in Sanskrit for bliss. It's the bliss molecule. And so keeping with that alignment in these scientists who are using these words from these biblical things to describe these awesome things in cannabis, I've chosen to do the same. And so it is a capitate trichome. It is glandular. I can't describe it, although I can tell you it is so different from the other glandular trichome types that are out there. So I believe I want to name it capitate stalked nessia. And nessia is a word in Hebrew that is basically like, it means 7 in the sense of miracle. So it's a miracle that there are 7 colors to the rainbow, 7 days of the week. We wrap tefillin around our arms 7 times. So 7 is a really big mystical number in Judaism. I'm a Jew. And so this is the 7th trichome. And to me, it's a miracle that no one else has found this besides us. Like, this is the most well-studied plant on the planet, and other people haven't found this trichome yet. That's a miracle. Getting this plant to me and how it's gotten to me are so many miracles you can't even imagine. So this is the unicorn miracle 7 trichome, capitate stalked nessia. So that's what I'm naming it.
Nessia, you heard it here first. Absolutely. You heard it here first, right out of Happy Rock Farm Studio. We love coming to you, Max. Man Crush over here. Can we have you back another time?
Sure.
Go over some more.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot more to go over, man. I love it. I love it. All you guys out there, visit the Trichome Institute. Amazing knowledge out there. We're going to come back in the second half. Okay, don't go anywhere. We're going to visit with the Cannabis Care team, and we're going to talk about the boot camp they're having down in Columbia and some other things that are going on. Max, we love you. Thanks for stopping by.
Hey, yeah, thank you so much. And congratulations on an engagement, maybe?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Very cool.
Love it.
We ate a psychedelic cacti, put on white in crowns. We marched into the desert and had a very esoteric ceremony with each other that was quite beautiful and spectacular. So we're very excited.
All right, we're going to have an episode about that.
Love it. A whole episode. Oh my gosh. Clay, what do we got?
Hey, wow. Thanks, Max, so much. I'm not Jewish, but I'm thinking about
Thanks,
converting now after all that. Hopefully you can call that plant Clayton if I convert.
Clayton,
Just an idea.
Just the plant, not the
Just an
Trichome.
idea. Thanks so much for coming on. We hope to have you back very soon. We're going to come back. We're going to take a little break here. We have an update from George Hanna with Kansas NORML about what's happening with legalization in Kansas. And then we have an amazing phone call live from Robert Franklin with the CANNBIS Project. Live from prison after he got the news from Governor Parsons that he was granted clemency. So it's the first time he's had a conversation live here with us about that experience. It's a wonderful phone call. When we get back from the break, we're going to check in with April about the boot camp coming up with the bud tender training course, and Skyler Thomas from COCO Dispensaries will be joining us via Zoom. Stick around. We'll be right back. See you guys here shortly.
Well, our work continues in Kansas. Senate Bill 158 did pass the House, as many of you already know, with a 79 vote. However, it was read in at the last minute on the Senate side and deemed materially altered, which means it's going to be sent to the Senate State and Federal Affairs Committee. That does preserve the integrity of the bill, so we will be able to address it first thing next session. I am optimistic that the Senate's not going to mess with the dates. And everybody I've spoke with is anticipating passage next session. I hope that by planning on that everybody is going to be getting their ducks in a row when it comes to the advisory board and the regulatory requirements, and we can hit the ground running with an implementation date of the June of 2023. Taking all that into account, I want to thank Evolution Magazine, especially the Kansas Cannabis Business Association and the Kansas Cannabis Coalition, which was instrumental, along with Representative Garber, Leadership Barker, and all of the legislators that did support this. We had a vote, 40 Republicans, 40 Democrats, essentially, and so it passed in a very positive bipartisan way, and we had the votes in the Senate. That's important because the leadership was concerned about not being able to view the amendments the House had put in, so he wanted to make sure that it wasn't called up for a vote because he knew that they were already there for passage. So at this point, I'm very optimistic about what 2022 is going to bring. And once again, I thank you for your support. If you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to support Kansas NORML, both on Facebook and the internet, and look for us to donate. Otherwise, I look forward to you at another Veterans episode with Evolution Magazine. Thank you.
Call from an offender at the Moberly Correctional Center. This call is from a correctional facility and may be monitored and recorded. To accept this free call, press 1. To refuse, thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on? How y'all doing?
We're doing well. We're excited to hear from you today.
How's your day been?
It's been alright. Work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got off early so I could call y'all.
Well, thanks for giving us a call. We've been putting you to work this week.
That's all right.
So we've already got you recording. We're going to do our little intro real quick, and then we'll get into a little bit more chatting. This is Chris and Christina with the CANNBIS Project here with our weekly update for the Evolution Show. We have Robert Franklin on the phone with us, calling from Moberly Correctional Center. And as a reminder, Robert was sentenced to 22 years without parole for 1 pound of cannabis. And about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks ago, we received some really great news right the day after we did our last update with him on the phone. The next day, he called me and about made me pass out and go into another universe. And do you want to tell everyone what the news was?
The governor commuted my sentence. I see the parole board on June the 3rd.
That is so awesome. I mean, the whole community is so excited to hear the news. You're really giving a lot of other people hope with this news, and we're just so excited for you and your family.
I'm excited too. It's been 12 long years since I've seen it. I gotta get out and get readjusted.
So do you want to tell everyone kind of the story about how you found out and how you were told and go through the whole rundown of that?
Yeah, I'll never forget it. I had a call out for 9:45 in the morning, and the call out is where they put your name on a piece of paper and you show up to the designated area. But I had a call out for 9:45 in the morning. I went to see about it, and the guy in the booth in the key room didn't know what I was talking about. So I went back to work and started doing my thing, and they called me and said I need to go see the parole board ASAP. Well, the parole people on the second floor of the admin building ASAP. I went down there, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. You're here to see Miss Prinzler." So I went upstairs to see Miss Prinzler. They set me down and told me, you've been granted parole. The governor has commuted your sentence. You've been granted parole. She told me out of the whole 24 years she's been here, she's only seen that like twice. And I told her I'd never seen it, but I'm happy it's me.
Oh, yeah.
So you are the first individual cannabis POW to receive such news since Jeff Mizanski in 2015. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Whenever they told me, my heart just dropped to the floor, and I wanted to get up and do a happy dance and run out the room. But I had to keep my composure. But that's big. That's real big.
It is. I mean, that's definitely history for the state, and so I'm really glad that Governor Parsons stepped up and really made something happen for you. It's something truly special.
So what was it like when you told your mom and your family? Go through that. That's a wonderful story.
Well, I called my mom, and I told her to call my sister, and I told my sister to call my brother. And we were all four on the phone, and I told them all at the same time. My mom started screaming. My brother was like, what? My sister was just silent. Yeah, they were all happy for me.
And so there was a little bit of confusion because there was so much going on. And initially, your mom just thought that you had been granted the possibility of parole. And she didn't at first fully understand what had happened, that your sentence had been commuted. And so when she did find out, like, what was that like when she finally grasped, like, what was going on? Because she was excited about the parole, but then she found out about the commutation.
She said she started crying. I think she was on the phone with you, wasn't she?
Yes, well, I called her right after you called me, and she was excited about the parole, but then I made that post, and then she called me back and was like, wait a minute, I thought he was just getting paroled. I didn't understand he was getting his sentence commuted. And then she made me like second guess myself. And then I was like, oh my God, did I hear Robert wrong? Like, did I just make an ass out of myself publicly? And then I talked to you the next day and you confirmed.
And I made you repeat it like 30 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She absolutely did make you repeat it 30 times. I remember. I was like, I know exactly what I heard him say a bunch of times. Christina asked him, and so your mom was. I understand why your mom would be apprehensive to believe that news, because it's just unbelievable news. So man, it was really exciting just to hear you and just the whole situation that was going on over here. Christina was bawling. She just had her ugly cry face going on that she says that she. But I didn't know what had happened, but I thought somebody had died, and it turned out to be just great news. So it was an exciting moment.
So what are your plans? Like, what's the first thing you're going to do when you get out?
The first thing I want to do is hug my daughter and surprise her. We haven't told my daughter yet. I want to make sure that everything was what it's supposed to be before I tell her, because I've been telling her this over, all this time. And I've told her so much, she's just like, yeah, whatever. But that's the first thing I want to do, is give her a nice big hug and surprise her, see how she reacts to me walking out of the prison instead of her coming in to see me. They're going to bring her down here like it's just another visit. So
that's going to be awesome.
And then after that, I want to give me something to eat.
What you want to eat?
This call is from a correctional facility and may be monitored and recorded.
I don't know. I think steak and shake.
Steak and shake. That's going to be your first meal?
Yeah.
We're going to make it happen.
Yeah, we're definitely going to make it happen.
I was talking with Robert, not last night, but the night before, and we're daydreaming his party, guys. So when he gets out, we want to have a big crowd there for his release. Unfortunately, we couldn't have big crowds for Seth or Charlie or Chris or any of that because of COVID. But since the community can join us this time, we want everyone to come to Moberly, welcome him home, surprise his daughter with him, and she's going to show up and be like, what the hell? And then afterwards, we want to do something real special that night. We want to obviously put as much distance between Moberly and Robert as quickly as possible. His father lives in Columbia, which is where his home plan is stated for him to go after his release. So maybe we can get some sponsors that can assist us with putting his family who's coming in from out of town up in hotels. Maybe somebody that can do something for some barbecue that evening or some food of some kind to feed the family and Robert. So if anyone wants to reach out to us, we're actively seeking sponsors. Don't be shy.
And event spaces, and anywhere where we could potentially host a good party or something like that. So
that sounds great.
Not to overwhelm you, but
yeah, you deserve a party. Lots of people are going to be excited to be there partying with you.
Yeah, I'm going to be excited myself.
I can't wait to see the look on your face, man. I mean, it's this is really good news, and I hope it starts pressuring the governor to do more stuff like this.
Yeah, I hope it does too. We need to get Trevor out.
Trevor and so many more. There's so many. There are 40,000 plus people behind bars for nonviolent cannabis offenses. Many that are
nationwide.
Nationwide. I mean, and so they have decade-long sentences for this, and so we need to make it a nationwide thing. But right now, we got to do all we can, and if it's just one at a time, it's still something.
But here's the deal: Robert was his own best advocate. He put out positivity and positive energy and positive vibes, and the universe brought us together at the right time, and that's something that everyone that's incarcerated, I know it's so hard and it's a horrible situation and it's very toxic, but hopefully no one has to go into custody anymore for this kind of thing, but always be your own best advocate. Robert, I know we've talked a bunch about you in the past and how you felt, and can you please explain to the community what your emotional transition and evolution has been from the time you went in to now?
Well, when I first came in, I had zero understanding. told me I wasn't going to see the parole board and I was going to get out in 2026. So I was like, whoa, I'm going to be here for a minute. And I got in a lot of trouble and did a lot of things, but I was in the level, they sent me to a level 5 penitentiary. So it was either sink or swim, and I started swimming. But I say over 6 years ago, 7 years ago, probably even 8 years ago, I mellowed down and started being, I guess you could say, a model inmate and filing different things and being denied for those different things, being down in the dumps and on a state of depression. But whenever I met you guys, y'all put a little light in my life, and I started believing that it was real and it could happen. And once I started believing that, it did happen, and I thank God for that.
Yeah, we definitely try and put our positive vibes out there for you because, I mean, just look at our last conversation. We had no idea this was coming, and all we were trying to do is wrangle support and send those positive vibes into the universe. And like 24 hours later, less than 24 hours later, it was manifested into reality.
Yes, it was. And it is real. I'm coming home.
Oh, yeah.
I'm coming home. I haven't stopped smiling since they gave me the news.
This call is from a correctional facility and may be monitored and recorded.
I'll be glad not to hear that lady in my conversation anymore.
I know. She's such our nemesis. And then she interrupts our, like, you have 1 minute left and wastes 30 more seconds of our time.
Yes, she does. I can't wait to see you guys.
Yeah, we're definitely excited to meet you in person, and you have so many people that support you and have your back. We're going to help you out when you get out, and we've got a GoFundMe going right now to help raise funds for you for when you get out. And so we're going to do the best we can on that. And so if anybody out there wants to donate to Robert's Fund, get on the CANNBIS Project page or get on my personal page and get on there and click on his GoFundMe and donate if you can. That'd be fantastic. He didn't deserve to be in prison for 12 years. So the least we can do out here is try to help him out and try to put some money on that GoFundMe so when he gets out, he has a financial stability.
Yeah, if everyone was able to put down $5 even, or even $1 with the thousands of people who we interact with online and social media, if even $1, we could have like $10,000 if everyone donated $1. And if you can donate $5, I mean, whatever you can, we're not asking for, you to put yourself out, but every little bit helps. And this man needs re-entry funds for sure to get him back on his feet.
So help if you can. We really appreciate it, and I know Robert would sincerely appreciate it as well.
I would really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys taking the time out your busy schedules. I know you're always busy doing something, and y'all did it for me, and I thank you. I thank you for that, and I thank you for everybody.
You have 1 minute left.
Well, there it is. I thank everybody for listening, and I thank everybody for signing all those paperworks that was sent to the governor and to the governor's assistant.
So June 30 has his parole hearing. We'll know his release date thereafter, and then we're going to bring him out to share him with the rest of the community. So you guys just wait and see, and you'll get to meet him in person too. Robert, any final words before we leave?
Thank you. Thank everybody. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, man. We love you.
Love you too.
We love you so much. Okay, well, we'll talk with you again soon. Have a great rest of your evening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Y'all have a good one too.
All right, man. Have a good night.
Bye. Love you.
All right. Love you too. Goodbye.
The call.
Well, guys, that was Robert Franklin calling from Moberly Correctional Center, and it was, it's always exciting to talk to him, especially now you can just really feel the joy and love in his voice, and so we're excited to see him. Again, if you would like to support him, check out his GoFundMe and donate to it if you can. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of the show.
Bye, guys.
Robert Franklin is almost going to be out of jail, coming very soon, June 3rd. His parole hearing, we'll find out when he's going to be released after that. We're already planning a nice little get-together celebration of his release, the very first one, hopefully. Lots of moving parts with that planning. Obviously, we don't know when he's going to be released. There's a lot of moving parts, but we're hoping to have a live show based around his release coming to you very soon once we hear more information about his release date. We're going to chime back in real quick before. Thanks to our sponsors, Clover, Elevate Holistics, Cannabis Care Team, COCO Dispensaries, MCIA. Thanks for sponsoring this whole show. You guys tag a friend, bring them into this conversation. You're going to win a free course to Trichome Institute, a free bud tender training course from the boot camp that we're about to talk about here shortly with April. You can win 2 free gift cards to COCO Dispensaries and a free certification from Elevate Holistics. Our first half of the show was about Trichome Institute. Those guys have been doing this out of state for a long time. Obviously, very well versed, very well experienced. Have a very well shaped plan for curriculum. And now the second half of the show, we have our local educators, April Hatch, Skyler Thomas via Zoom coming in with COCO Dispensaries, talking about the bud tender training courses that are being offered here locally. And this is the next step for Missouri to educate our local people who are wanting to be involved in the industry. So there's a boot camp coming up shortly, but I won't spoil the rest of the information. I'll pass it over to Eric McSwain, April Hatch, and Skyler Thomas via Zoom.
Hey,
Welcome back.
Thanks for being here with us. How you doing, April?
I'm great. Thank you, CANNBIS project. I know every time I see them during the break, I mean, it's just amazing what you guys are doing. Thank you. June 3rd, we should hear something more about Robert's release, so definitely stay tuned.
That's right.
For that.
And I know MCIA in general, me personally, we're big believers in having fair access to freedom, among other things. This is important to us. Let's not be in jail for a plant, right? Especially if it's nonviolent. But anyway, Skyler, appreciate you being here with us tonight as well. You're calling in from where tonight?
Macon, Missouri.
Macon, Missouri.
Probably, it's an hour straight north of Columbia, tiny town.
Yeah.
Probably never heard of it.
I've been pulled over there, on my way there, actually. And I had my Cannabis Care Team shirt on. The conversation was a little awkward, but I just remember what all those lawyers had told me.
Do not play. They do not play. So slow down near Macon. And you're a neighbor to me. I'm from Fayette, Missouri, so right down the street, just past Moberly from you. Love the company, the work. We've got a CNR in our hometown as well, so there's a connection there via the ownership. It's great to see Missouri-made businesses. If you saw the back of my shirt, that's what we talk about. We really appreciate that. What caused you, Skyler, to decide that you wanted to put on a boot camp, and what's that all about?
So it really started probably 3 or 4 years ago, probably 4. When my cousin came to me and told me, hey, let's get in the cannabis industry. And at that point, it was legal over in Illinois. We decided we wanted to go learn more about it. So we did a little bit of research, and we actually got the idea from Herbal Remedies in Quincy, Illinois. They do a similar course to this. And after taking it, I was astonished on how informational it was, how much I learned along the way, and decided I wanted to do this for Missouri and my local constituents and show them what the Missouri program is really about. So probably 2.5 years ago, I started working on this document, and 120 pages later, we got to where we're at.
I love it.
Yes, absolutely.
I love it.
No,
Are we giving free tickets? To the show?
So Columbia, Missouri, June 12th at the MU Hampton Inn. It'll be me, Matt Cassio, we all play the good cop, bad cop. I'm the bad cop, he's the good cop. And of course the COCO team, so Skyler, Jamie, Brooke will be there, and some other people. So we're super excited. Actually, COCO is one of the first dispensaries we trained in Missouri with our medical cannabis dispensary staff training. So really from the perspective of nurses, Matt and I are both registered nurses. We've been working with a lot of sick people for many years, and we've been working with people in this field of cannabis and trying to help people find what's going to work best for them. And we really saw the value for dispensaries and the kind of the practical knowledge or the practical application the dispensary staff can use. So we were super excited when COCO reached out to us and said, hey, we thought your course was great. We really liked it. We want to tag on to that. And they're going to do a lot of the regulatory resume, interview, like all that stuff that people really need to get into the industry. I've heard a couple statistics, but I think it's about for every bud tender position, there's about 300 applicants. So this is an industry that I'm extremely passionate about. I'm honored to be a part of it. There are many people who want to get into this. So we're happy that we can offer this to the general public and hopefully get some people connected and get some people into the jobs they want.
Awesome. We love that. And, MCIA, that's our core mission is education. And that's why we're bringing it tonight. This is an MCIA show, but we want to tell you all about those opportunities. We had Max on in the first half. We have a certified caregiver program. A lot of the knowledge that you cover in the boot camp is also on the tests, I'm sure, for our certified caregiver program. So that's another way. Think of it as like a professional certification, and that's similar to what you're doing here, except it's live, so that you get a lot of instructor interaction, right? I mean, what's the setup? Is it a one-day deal? Or?
So it is a one-day deal. I love live. I love, and no one needs to worry about this too much, but I kind of do love putting people on the spot a little bit. I think that practice is really important. There's lots of statistics out there, and sorry, I'm messing with my ears quite a bit, but we only remember, 10% of what we read, 30% of what we see. We don't start to really grab onto information and be able to use it with people until we're actually practicing it in person. So I know I probably made Skyler get up and talk about the endocannabinoid system and all like how he would talk to a customer about it. So we do lots of kind of breakout activities. We've got some really fun things planned. We want to keep it engaging, keep people up and moving. I'll be honest, I'm kind of like anti-reading a PowerPoint, so there's lots of information in the books that we put together, and they'll have that to take home, but it'll be good.
Good.
I think it'll be pretty fun.
Good,
yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. It's always amazing in person, and anytime you can come in, even, there aren't any free lunches. It costs money to rent the room, the space at Hampton.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes money to put these sort of things on, and it's valuable. It's you've got to be able to get a leg up when there's 300 applications. You got to know what's going on, and you've got to know about the plant and how to administer patients. And I'm sure as you come in, and Skyler, you may have seen this, customer service is first. You got to have that pleasant face. You got to be able to talk to people, interface with people. But beyond that, then it's a matter of getting into the education piece. And so I would bet, I know dispensaries look favorably on the certification program, MCIA's caregiver certification. I'm sure folks would look favorably at this as well. I mean, is that part of the design, Skyler?
Yeah, that was the whole point of why we're doing what we're doing. The cannabis care team, they bring in just so much scientific knowledge that just a lot of people are not accustomed to or just don't know yet. But part of what we wanted to bring to it when we were doing our first initial hiring, we had a lot of applicants, but a lot of people just didn't understand the generalities and some of the professional aspects that come with this industry. Like you mentioned, the customer service, being able to talk to the 18-year-old that comes in or the 80-year-old that comes in. You have to be able to customize your service and your knowledge and the way you explain things to meet that patient's needs. And so the rules and regulations, what you can purchase, how much bags, home cultivation, the different things that the vendors themselves, the dispensaries, the cultivators, all the manufacturers, what they have to go through just to be able to supply a safe and quality product, as well as just doing the small things like resumes and just the interview tips and skills. Kind of a funny story. I was walking into the facility one day, and this young lady asked if she could apply, and I gave her my email, told her exactly what I needed, and about 3 weeks later, I got a portfolio of just pictures of her. I don't know if she was trying to come on to me.
What kind of job was?
Likely story, Skyler. Likely story.
But yeah, there's just small things that people, when applying for this industry, just don't realize, and we wanted to be able to provide that not just for our dispensary, but all of the other licensees out there, a professional and qualified pool, even for a state that marijuana hasn't been legalized for an extenuating period of time.
Well, you have a manufacturing lab where you're calling in from right now, and so you work with dispensaries all over the state, providing them products. You definitely have access to all of those dispensaries and know what they're looking for as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a part of it. That should be, I think, that guiding light for all dispensaries is serving the patient. And
absolutely,
as you alluded to, a patient will literally walk in the door, and if they find you friendly and knowledgeable, they will ask you anything. Absolutely anything that you can think of, how to fertilize their plants. Like I'm selling bud over here, dude. So, but you've got to know to be able to how to approach those situations, even if you haven't cultivated. Maybe you need to know, your local stores in town. You can send somebody, you need to go talk to these guys, like at Happy Rock Farms. You need to talk to them about growing, that sort of thing. It's just a matter of understanding that anything, literally anything, could be coming your way, and it seems glamorous to come in and be a bud tender, right? And I'm sure that's probably what a lot of folks see who are applying, but you're looking for the finer points. And is coachability just as important as knowledge, or do you really got to have a knowledge base too?
For me, as a retailer, I look to have the knowledge of the plant science and everything that's encompassed with marijuana. It's nice to have. There's less training that has to go in on that aspect, but like you said, the coachability, the customer service points, the punctuality. I mean, it is a job. It is a career, something you can grow in and obtain. So we do look for like you said, the finer things within the personal characteristics of someone applying, rather than just their passion and knowledge of the cannabis plant.
So actually, I think when we were training maybe the Moberly staff, Brooke had said something to me about hiring people, and I remember what she said because I loved it so much, but they were really looking to hire people who could connect with people. And I thought that was so important, because as a nurse, I feel like that's the biggest part of my role. I can do a bunch of medical stuff, and I know a bunch of medications, but that ability to connect means the most to people I talk to. And I was just so happy to see that that's, we can give the knowledge, we can train people with that evidence-based education that we provide. That is so important, because we know there's a bunch of stuff out there that, may not necessarily be based on science. But I was happy to hear that when we trained your team.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, you just got to be able to customize your service to everyone, and the crutching point of that, like you mentioned, is communication. You look at that in the other industries, and when explaining pharmaceuticals to someone, they give you the long list of side effects in the quickest fashion that they possibly can, and you don't understand what's going on. You're just taking their word for it. Here, we don't want to do that. That's not our goal. Our goal is to educate you, let you know how this is going to affect you in your personal and professional lives and how you can bring joy to so many other people. You just got to be able to talk and have that open line of communication.
Yep. Yeah, and you know, I've heard stories. I've in my role, I've talked to quite a few folks at dispensaries, hiring managers and owners and employees and everyone else. And I think it's something you have to steel yourself for. And part of the reason why early in the show I put a shout out to my most recent patient, MJ, who's no longer with us, is because you're going to hear all kinds of stories. You know, if you have that personal touch that allows people to kind of open up and tell you what's going on with them so that you can help them, you're going to hear all kinds of stuff. And there's a lot of stuff that you're not going to expect, you know, but you've got to be compassionate in that situation at all times. You know, you can't let it surprise you, because you just got to wake up and know a surprise is coming. That's part of the joy of doing what we do, I think, is to see some of that surprise. But tell me, Skyler, you know, what was the experience when the Cannabis Care team came in to train your folks? And, you know, what was the reaction? Were people fired up? Did they really enjoy that training? I mean, it seemed to have an impact, right?
Yeah, absolutely. April and Matt.
That was the correct answer, Skyler.
Did an amazing job.
Almost got in trouble.
They came in, and for most of our new employees, they know anything about it, and coming in, being able to show them the different ways to medicate and all the different terpenes and the hands-on activities, that was probably the best part. It was a way not only for our staff to get comfortable with the information, but for them to get comfortable about talking about it after so many years of not being able to do that with one another. And I think that's the biggest impact that it had on our facilities and our staff members, and how they're able to translate that on to our patients.
I love it. And that's a big part of it. Is that part of the course too, breaking down those barriers and talking to those around you and making an open conversation?
Absolutely. I think that, you know, not only during those trainings do we teach staff how to talk to patients, but we're also teaching them how to talk to each other and how to lean on each other for education and information. And we provide a lot of resources. I think our reference page has like over 100 different scientific publications on it, you know, and including a lot of other resources. But we don't expect people to have the answer. We want people to know where to find the answer, and we want people to just really hone in on their skills, you know, interacting with people and engaging with that person. And, you know, it's all about meeting that customer where they're at, I think, and doing our best to help people. And that's why we wanted to do it, because we want to help the industry help patients.
Yep. Yeah, and that's important for us. That's part of why I think in our certified caregiver program that the tests are really where it's at. We don't provide the education piece because we know there are fine education providers out here who can do that. Instead, we want to test for the knowledge, and it's open book, open internet, phone a friend, doesn't matter, whatever you need to do, because like you said, it's not necessarily about memorizing everything. You know, and that can really be a challenge for those of us who have a lot of potholes, you know what I mean? But it's about knowing where to go to get that information when the time comes. And, you know, I think personally that's quite all right with me if there are references and, let me look that up for you, and pointing people in the right direction even.
Well, I think it makes it more legitimate. I mean, when and I apologize if I'm referring to them as bud tenders, but that's just what everybody knows, right? But you know, I think that they need to know how to find those resources in the future. You know, the science comes out constantly on different medical benefits of cannabis, so that's extremely important. And then I think that, you know, they need to know I don't know. There's a lot that they need to know, but it absolutely is about giving them the tools to succeed. And I think that we try to do most of that in our cannabis care team training. I'm sorry,
it's all right. It's a lot like Max Montrose's, weed wheel and those tools and the flip book and all that sort of thing. It's about understanding how to apply it and get to the crux of it. So tell me, Skyler, how is business going right now? I mean, are things going pretty good? Is it pretty wild? Tell me about your experience so far.
It's good. It's been really wild, especially over the 420 holiday. Between POS softwares going down and making sure you had enough supply and the education. It's been crazy the last few weeks, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree with that, but we're getting to a point in this industry where more vendors are coming up. There's more product supply being out there. Prices are slowly climbing down. And so overall, I think patients are happier, and we're happy that they're happy. And so things are going great. And we just continue to try to educate as much as we can, use the resources. You guys mentioned knowing the information, but also knowing where to find that information. Something we utilize in our dispensaries, it's a patient journal app called Relief, and patients can go on there. They can select what item they've purchased, and then they can track exactly their consumption and the whole progress of that. And they can actually bring that in. We can review all that information and help them make those fine adjustments moving forward. That way they find the best medication for them. Because it's trial and error is this whole industry, and being able to find that and explain that information is just the utmost importance to us.
Yeah. I think when we are able to change the nomenclature a little bit and really use what Max Montrose is working on in the dispensaries, I think that we'll be able to better fine tune what products are going to be best for patients. But right now, it is a lot of experimentation and trial and error, because the product you get at this place is going to be different than the strain that you get it from somewhere else. So I'm super excited what he's going on.
I just want to chime in with my 2 cents. I'm not on camera right now, but just to explain the difference to the viewers, Max Montrose is a part of an industry that's been around for a long time, so they're a little bit ahead of the curve on trying to figure out what they're doing. But what we're doing here is trying to teach local bud tenders how to talk to patients that are on a new scale, from younger people to older people. It's teaching that retail customer experience that's bridging the gap between younger to older generations, and talking to them on a scale that's a medical scale with a holistic experience. And that's what we're needing. That's the first stage of education with any new state that goes legal.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that, absolutely. I mean, the interpening, is a great course for people, and I want to see people take the course, and I hope someone awesome wins it. But we know that in Missouri right now there are, unfortunately yesterday, the governor, I guess, canceled some, unemployment things. So, I know that people are really out there personally who are looking for jobs. They need jobs. We hope that we are able to provide just some of the skills that people can use to go in and get a job and be able, again, to help patients. I looked at my electronic medical record system, I think today, and we were up to like 560 patients that we've been able to help. So that's really, really exciting. I know that probably seems like a very small number, but that's a lot of Zoom calls and it's a lot of phone calls. But everything that we do and we teach dispensary staff is what we've learned from patients. What really, of course, it's all based on science, but what those people who we work with daily maybe could have heard in the dispensary when they came in and made a purchase. we did some training this week with a dispensary, and these people have been in the industry for a long time. They've been working in states with legal cannabis programs for decades, and it's really cool, and it makes me feel really good when they're writing things down. Like when I'm talking, when they're when I'm saying something and they're writing it down, like, wow, this means something. Like I am just able to give a different perspective. Again, it's being a nurse. Talking to people.
Can you say that again?
Yeah.
That's the right thing. No, and you're right. I mean, this is important. There's a lot of people who are genuinely interested, but there are also folks out there who are pretty timid. I mean, it's pretty new. I've told the anecdote several times that when even right after the amendment passed and before it even became an article officially, I suppose, when I talked about it with folks in my hometown, everybody looked over their shoulder first. And then we could talk about, cannabis. We'll talk about cannabis. But we've really got to put it out in the open, get people to normalize the topic, and make it something that we can even talk about at the dinner table. And speaking of which, this, Skyler, you've got some experience at the dispensary, and so I've heard that a lot of the folks, even more than what was expected, who come in that front door really are patients who aren't looking to get high. They're looking to get normal. I just want to be able to function. Has that been your experience as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We get patients of all walks of life, people who know nothing about it and people who know a lot about it. And just being able to help explain that information to them, it's amazing. I actually kind of forgot your question. Can you say it again? I feel like it is.
Can I actually talk about a patient call I got this week? I've kind of been excited to share it with someone. I'm not going to give any personal information or anything, but it's actually a patient who had come into COCO, and they heard about us from there. But a family, the father was diagnosed with cancer, was on hospice at this point, has tried several different things for pain, and they weren't working. They did previously go to a different place. He ended up over-consuming, did not like the way it felt. He does not want to feel high. He does not like the intoxicating effects. So it really does take a lot of one-on-one kind of working with that family to find what's going to be the most effective thing for him that he's comfortable with, that's really going to help him. And unfortunately, I think about this gentleman and think about, damn, if this could have happened 10 years ago. If the family could have had access or a different perception, or if they would have been armed with the education and knowledge and the science to really see this plant as it is, which is medicine. And we'll get there, but that was just one of those calls this week. It's
true. It's true. We see that a lot. And for those listeners out there, ask questions. We have some time left here to chat, so we'll stop and answer whatever you have to say. Now, Skyler, do tell me though, COCO has labs and dispensaries, is that right? And where are those located at? Where can people find you?
So our 3 dispensaries were located in the northeast part of the state. So Moberly, Missouri, about 30 minutes north of Columbia. Chillicothe, about dead center. So we're between Macon, super small town, and Kansas City. And then Hannibal, Missouri, right along the border, right across from Quincy, Illinois. And then our manufacturing lab is actually here where I'm at right now. Even smaller town, 700 people. During the whole application process, the state wanted to see places that needed economic growth, and we thought this was a perfect opportunity to help this small town. At one point it was 1,500 people. The facility that we bought used to be an old Maytag factory. It shut down, and over half the town left. So there's a huge difference that I know that we're making, and I know there's a lot of other groups out there that are making a difference in their local communities. We've got a lot of cool things going on. We've released our concentrates. That, in my eyes, is the most cost-effective way to medicate in the state. If you're looking based off of the milligrams, we're coming out with our vape line soon for a more discreet way of consumption. Our dispensaries, we've got products from all sorts of different licensees, and product variation just keeps growing day after day, and it's exciting to learn all about it and all the new products that are going to come out, and see how this can really.
And you guys cover that as well in the boot camp? Is that whole product assembly and the variation in
Yeah,
those?
absolutely. So part of the program is different things as far as like cultivation techniques, different extraction methods. What we currently utilize is a BHO or hydrocarbon extraction and ethanol extraction. There's all sorts of other ones, CO2, that you can talk solventless, ice water. So yeah, we'll cover all sorts of things like that. A lot of things on the retail aspect, customer service, rules and regs, professional tips, and then we even talk about the transportation, how you can legally move a product from one facility to the next, and everything on the patient's aspect, how you can remain compliant and how to consume this product in a safe and responsible way. So you're getting the most value out of it. And we even talk about things outside of just THC-based products, CBD and all of the other cannabinoids, and how those can help benefit your quality of life. So we cover a lot of different tools of the trade, and we're excited to share it with everybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to talk fast. That's a lot. Matt and I will be presenting all of the cannabis care team stuff, but no, we're really, really excited. People are gonna leave, I think, that day and feel really confident about going and applying for jobs.
Yeah.
So tag a friend if you want to get a ticket there. And then feel free to send me a message if you want to. Maybe, I don't know, there's a discount code or something maybe we can give people who watch the show. But yeah, we'll have to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We'll talk to Tristan about that.
Okay.
He's our digital guy. And you actually hit on a point earlier, April, about the unemployment and everything that's changing on a state level. But from a retail perspective, there's roughly 85 dispensaries open. That still leaves room for about 100 more in the state. So there's a lot of opportunities for people to get their foot in this industry. And by coming to our course, I think they are going to leave much more prepared, know how to approach the resume and interview process and stick out amongst the potential 300 applicants that they're competing for limited space in these facilities.
Yeah, absolutely. So you did mention how you are helping your local community. So I actually did want to plug another event I'm working on, if that's okay. So actually at Happy Rock Farms, I think in about 8 days, I think we'll be here. We're having a Communities of Color career event. We're going to cover a lot of like interviewing. We're going to do some mock interviews. We really want to see the diversity improve among the Missouri industry, and I've been working with some people on a national scale to really start that here in Missouri. I know I hear from a lot of operators there's not a lot of access to people who are applying, who are people of color, who are looking for jobs, and really there's a reason for that. I mean, they have been greatly negative affected by the prohibition of cannabis, so we're going to cover, I think the history of hemp, how it's affected their communities. What I'm most excited about is we're going to offer a lot of ongoing mentorship. So we have these national leaders, advocates in the cannabis space who are going to be partnered with the attendees, and they're going to work with them to provide, hopefully, networking and help to help them secure jobs. I think it's a passion project of mine. Jason Mitchell of Soulful Cannabis and some other people. We're super excited. So Communities of Color careerevent.com, check that out. Send people who may be interested. And then please come see us in Columbia. It's going to be an awesome day on June 12th. It's going to be a lot of fun. The COCO team is a really fun group. Jamie is the regional manager. She's one of my favorite people. And so, yeah.
Lots
of exciting educational things happening in Missouri for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, Jamie's awesome. She brings a lot of industry experience from the other markets.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right.
It's okay.
Well, we love you. Thanks for being around with us this evening. I think we're going to end it here. June 12th. It's going to be an amazing time. A lot of good education out there. April. I'm going to be in Yellowstone, but otherwise I would be there on that big red bike out there. Skyler, thanks for joining us. Oh, nice, nice. Well, we're gonna have to visit again.
Right now.
All right.
Probably can't see it. I'm wearing a Yellowstone.
That's right. All right, Jody, baby, I'm coming home. Good night, Skyler. April, always great. Clay, what do we got? Take us home.
I just want to go to Yellowstone at this point. Skyler, are you going to come with us to Yellowstone? I feel like the whole COCO team needs a whole trip to Yellowstone with all the work you guys have been doing, slaving away, trying to get these products out to market. Thanks so much for coming on the show. We appreciate not only what you're doing for supplying the industry with great products, but also educating the industry as well. So boot camp's coming up. That's what's the date again?
June 12th.
June 12th.
June 12th.
That'll be posted up on the Evolution's web, our Facebook page, Instagram, all of our social media channels, our website as well. It's in the magazine the April issue. Check that out. Thanks to all of our sponsors: Clover, Elevate Holistics, MCIA. Thanks to Trichome Institute, Max Montrose for coming on tonight. Thanks to our production crew here, James Thomas with Level Up AV, Cat King Films behind the camera, Chris Dalton's over here. We're shooting live here from Happy Rock Farms. As always, we have some great live shows coming up for you next week. We're going to be doing a live show with women in the cannabis industry. Tanya Roth is going to be coming on with the Canna Matriarchs. And then Leah Maurer, live via Zoom, coming in from Weed Blog from Oregon. It's going to be a great show. Then the week after that, we're going to be doing a live show from Clover's facility with Christopher Elbow, local chocolatier, talking about all things infused chocolates with behind-the-scenes looks on how that is all made.
Have some samples.
Thank you guys for watching tonight. We will see you next week. Peace.
Peace.
The Missouri Cannabis Industry